Oh, hello everyone, and welcome to The Impossible. Today we're going to discuss what you just see me messing with my watch there is movement. Movement of the body, movement of the mind, of the spirit. What kind of path and what kind of movement your journey within emotions, what they can take, what form they can take, what pathway they can take, whether that pathway is positive, whether the pathway is negative. Lots of stuff we can dive into today, but I think movement of the body is something that we can focus today. And discuss others in the future. So movement of body is something that has come up to my sort of, I'm up to bat, I'm up to the plate and battling this sense of optimizing within the physical sense. And I think when it comes to getting in movement, almost if nothing has come close to helping me deal with the ailments that I've had to battle of these past 4+ years now, and within those years, within those months, within the days, within the hours, within the minutes, I think movement of the physical body has been able to help propel me and help keep me sane in the majority of those moments that seem to have been maybe crushing or deconstructive at times, and at many times, unfortunately. And movement of the body has gotten me through that. I would say there are a few things of which I'd like to discuss in terms of the importance and the necessity of prioritizing movement of the body. And the first one is merely, I found that to be a sort of medicine for the mind through those times of hardship and trials and adversity and whatever you would like to call it. I'd like to call them trials in this case here. So when I'm facing these mountainous trials of weeks and months of chemotherapy that is actively breaking the body down, my best reaction, and basically it's sort of what turned into a bit of a proactive sense for me in those moments, was to keep movement physically, to keep everything else sort of at bay, I would say. And those trials, those realities of which I was facing at the time, I think it gave me some peace. It gave me something to sort of battle that wasn't necessarily the battles that I was facing, in the chair. And I know that its efficacy was profound due to being on both sides of that, being on both teams, I would say, in terms of using movement as a source of medicine versus using this sort of sedimentary so a similar concept, I suppose, but the sedentary lifestyle of self grieving and loathing of the circumstances that I was facing, the trials of which were put in front of me. I have seen both sides. I have experienced both sides. I have worked through both sides, and I feel wholeheartedly that movement, the positive forward direction of some sort of structure, some sort of like goal bounded structure that I gave myself. And well, at first that helped obviously with Matt. He certainly, as I've said many times before, throughout my first years of treatment, he certainly kept me definitely active and showing me that having goals were going to be crucial for me within the physical realm. Goals for me to pursue while on treatment were going to be of such benefit. And I know at first I was a bit hesitant to it, I would say, just because it seemed like an absolutely, I don't want to say ridiculous, but it was a bit of a absurd notion, or like proposition to for me to hear that if I keep my body active during treatment that is breaking my body down, that I'm gonna feel better. Well, like I'm spending all this energy trying to survive this poison that's coursing through my veins. Why would continuous movement beyond that, in my case, it would be resistance training. How would that be beneficial for me while I'm going through this? And I would say it did not take long for me to realize that it was going to be helpful, because the first 2 months of treatment, I was staying active. I was lifting with Matt. I still have videos of me with I had a pick line that came into this bicep here, and the pick line basically was this line that it popped out. I don't know, you can't see the scar there, but like I had a little just a little dot there on the interior of my arm, but it was a line that went from here all the way into one of the main valves or arteries into my heart, and I think it was pretty much inside there, so that and they would inject they would inject the chemotherapy into that and then into my body. I still have videos of me with that pick line in, with my I had like a cotton and spandex like wrap around it that I use to kind of like keep it at held there, but positioned there, and that was the value of which I had found from those times. For a moment, through the middle of 2022, after those first 2 months of doing that, when I had my first technical relapse, I went in and went to the exact opposite of that. I went to the sedentary lifestyle. I went to the loathing, the feeling bad for myself, and not motivated to do anything productive, during the day. That is where I learned of what a sedentary lifestyle could do, not only for the body. Not only was I getting weaker and weaker and having issues, especially with the cardiovascular base, just being able to walk around, because obviously the chemo is kind of crushing you down, I guess is a way to put it. Like, you're being put under a lot of pressure, but I'm not fighting back. Like, there was no fighting back that I was actively doing in those moments, and I think that was a very big mistake. But also mentally, what it had done to me to just be still in those moments, my brain was able to sort of take over in this whirlwind or hurricane of emotions, and in this case, negative emotions. And that's where I started to have thoughts and visions and daydreams and nightmares of absolute, I don't know, disgusting sort of levels, and unfathomable like guides of which my mind was deciding to take me down these different sort of channels or rivers of just embracing anxiety as a worthy venture, of dancing with this sort of nihilistic viewpoint of which I've struggled for a very long time with, and to sort of embrace that. Having gone and slowed down my momentum without the physical activity, I found out the hard way that the mind can take over in that momentum in those dark times and just simply compound the darkness. And that was not a fun time. Not a fun time in the slightest. I had battled with many, many different emotions and sort of ran through different settings that were really just not beneficial for the mind of which was in that position in the first place, the trials of which I was facing in those times. And through those trials, through those moments of semi panic, I got through those months of chemo, and that's where I was able to sort of like that. Just I was able to take a breath. I was able to take a minute to collect myself, and that's when I was able to get back with Matt, and really he sort of, kind of grabbed onto my life, and he was like, no, we need to get back on the horse. So he basically threw me back up there. And not that I wasn't willing, it was I needed the help. I needed the push. And so when that time came, I was very, very thankful to have had that community and to have that support in those moments, realizing how important movement was. And I was able to come back very, very strong. That's when I switched over to an immunotherapeutic drug, nivolumab, and I think it was just Opdivo. And I had very little side effects to that one, thankfully. And I started training again, and Matt put me on a regimen of let's eat as much as we possibly can, which was great. And then we had this moment of being able to sort of reset and take that on again. And so when I came out of that, I had a very, very sort of stark viewpoint on movement. And I became very much a proponent of sort of promoting it instead of even being docile within that viewpoint. I turned into let's get everybody moving. But I also struggled, I will say, at that time to really know how I needed to do that. Then 2023 Impossible Performance came along, and that's where I think we really started to sort of promote that feature and to promote movement as something that is as positive and that is beneficial, again, not only within the domain of physical, but also mental and emotional and spiritual. And so a second thing of why movement is, I think, should be, be a part of everyone's day is just the necessity for the body itself and for what, the various health markers of which point towards movement every single day for the body is going to negate some of those potentials. And I see that within a few people that I'm personally helping going along down that path of training itself. And it's something that I thoroughly enjoy. My nephew, eldest nephew, I'm currently working with him on a program, and it's been fairly new in the making, but it's been really sort of productive in watching somebody not only get excited to go and train, somebody that I know that I know very well, and and of whom I want to see succeed. I want everybody to see, I want to see everybody succeed, obviously, but especially a nephew, he's family. And so I've been really, really excited and motivated to help him and to see where we can go with things. And I believe that is something necessary as a part of, for that physical movement, is helping those that are close to you. And within my world, I've been able to promote it for myself. And I've been moving, I've been training, both resistance training and training for a full marathon, my first full marathon, and I'm really, really excited for that, to do that here in Columbus, Ohio. But also to start to sort of try to affect those that are close to me. And to work with him has just been such a fantastic time. And I think having that positive effect on those close to you is something of a responsibility that we all have. I want you to, after potentially you have been positively affecting yourself and pursuing your own potential, is to then you move that onto your community. You move that onto those that you love. And I feel that is a responsibility of ours, especially for those who have been in the gym for a long time. I for me, it's been on and off, but I think I know for what it has done for me, I know that it could be so beneficial for those that are close to me, and I feel that a sense of, again, responsibility and duty and pursuing that, not only as an uncle but as a beneficial part of society, and then sharing that with the father of my girlfriend. He is taking on a new medication, and it's been really awesome to have conversations with her and him about sort of the next steps. What do we look at in terms of, it's not only a medicinal change, but also has to be a lifestyle change that follows that. So it's been very interesting to help within sort of that realm of what can he do to make sure that this medicinal change is going to take its full effect, because you can't put the cart before ahead of the horse. You have to prepare. You have to prepare that animal. You have to prepare that sense of movement within self, and give it the proper fueling for it to move along and for it to succeed. And I feel that is something that is not all the way there. I would feel with a lot of the stories that I read of people on the sort of the semaglutides, the GLP-1, the GIPs. It's a great medicine, but it comes with this sort of, a lot of the times, a misunderstanding or just a lack of understanding of what a healthy lifestyle that should be following that. I'm not a doctor, I'm not prescribing anything, but obviously you can't just take the medication and not change a lifestyle, the lifestyle that could have potentially gotten you there. You can't expect it to work to its fullest potential if you're not giving it the proper fueling and the proper change within life to be able to allow it to produce the best results. And that is something of which I'm really, really enjoying sharing with him, and sharing on that journey, and to continue to work on that journey. Again, that's something that is something else, and it's that is another process of which is in its infancy. But I'm so excited to work with him and to work with others going into the future, to really to see that lifestyle change, but also just to see how much it changes their day into being more capable of movement in general. Not to say that they're incapable, but I think we all want to be able to move around the day without a particular part of the body hurting, just due to lack of either movement or merely training. And so having these different aspects have been absolutely profound in my experience of just trying to help others. Another one is a very, very, very close friend of mine looking to become a dad here soon. And he contacted me and he's like, hey man, I'm trying to get into the gym. I would love to, if you could help me. At first, he didn't know that I was looking to become a coach. He just looked to me for help because he had seen he's followed me, on the socials and has seen, my physical transformation. And he's like, oh, can you help me at all? And I'm like, absolutely, I can. I want to so badly. And with him, going to be a father here soon, a new father, or he will soon be a father for the first time. There we go. I'll spit it out. It excites me even more to see that sort of drive and that pursuit of movement within him, knowing that there's a very arguably one of the most difficult tasks in the world coming up for him and his wife and being new parents. I mean, that is such a profound and incredible but yet challenging concept. And for him to come to me and to say, hey, like, I want to be stronger. I want to, I want to be able to really, how did he put it? I forget, but he wants to get stronger. And I'm like, I'm right there. And we just had our first call after his first full week of training. And it really is a unique and incredible experience to be able to help those that I cherish in those moments. And that's something that I think is a responsibility of someone who is, I'm not in the perfect peak physical condition, nor will I ever be in the perfect position, but I am pursuing every single day towards something that is, greater than what I was yesterday. And so I feel that within that realm, within that sits a responsibility and a duty to help those that I love, that those who are close to me, if they're open to it, obviously. And so I want everybody to be fit and physical and able to run full marathons any day of the week, but neither here nor there. But no, it's been an absolute pleasure to be able to share that with people. And I love that aspect of each of those three cases, their individual drives and what's pushing them and what's driving them to pursue this, change, and whether it be for strength, whether it be for overall fitness, whether it be for, being able to keep up with a first child. Like, it's incredible to see that push and to see that I'm heading in this direction. Can you please help me get there? And it's like, yeah, I'm there. Like, let's do this. It's such an invigorating feeling. And I'm very, very thankful to have that as a sort of responsibility that I put upon myself. And that's the third thing that I wanted to discuss, and I'll be very brief. For those of us who are in this position of being able to pursue the physical movement and to have succeeded in some way, shape, or form, and to be there to continue to pursue it and showcase that. And when I say showcase, I mean to share with others of what is possible for them. I believe that to be a duty and a responsibility of those in that position. I feel that obviously, all three of those people that I'm helping are in a position of like asking me for help, and I being there wanting to help. But I'm in a position where they saw that and they're like, hey, can you help me with this? And and that's incredible. But I feel that also it is it is for anybody that's in the gym, anybody that's out on the track, anybody that's out on the street. If anybody were to come up to you and ask for some advice, for some help, I think I want to. I always envision being the big jacked dude, in the gym, that people want to ask for assistance from, because it's sort of a, what would you call? I don't know if you want to call it a stereotype, but that's just, you see the big guy in the gym, like he's probably the one to ask, like, hey, like, have you look, it looks like you know what you're doing. Can you help me with this? Can you help me with that? Well, I want that to be very much a thing, to be able to be approached within the gym, to say like, hey, like I'm doing this, and it's, I'm doing these curls and it's hurting the elbow, or I'm doing, just today with my friend there, he, we went over and he was doing overhead, the overhead dumbbell tricep push, and he was saying it was hurting his elbows. And I'm like, okay, yeah, let's work around that. We'll do this, different type of tricep push down, with the easy bar, the easy curl bar, and it's just little things like that of which it's, even if he wasn't a client of mine, even if he wasn't my friend, if it was just some other person in the gym that was struggling with a particular movement and wants a little bit of advice and a little bit of support, like I want that person who is approached to be absolute, to feel, I not only want you to be excited to help somebody out, I want you to feel like it is a responsibility of yours. I want you to take that moment and say, let me, to my best ability, and to not lie to this person, I need to help you and educate you to a particular extent. Okay. Not educate you like a professor, but educate you in terms of, okay, this is my experience. Or if you are, certified in some manner, you walk up to him and say, okay, well, let's watch you do it. Okay, I see what you're doing. Let's do this instead. Or again, let's go out and just try a completely different movement. Let's hang off, with that for now, and let's build up, let's build up these muscles, further up the chain. Let's prepare them to then, as you work into this, weeks and months down the road, you can then come back to this even stronger and ready for a little bit of change and stimuli for that muscle to be able to do this instead of that, and that sort of process is something of which we need to be embracing of, and I want the gym environment to be that positive, and it's going to be that positive if everyone within that environment is positive. And I'm not, this is not a call out, this is not saying that any one place is horrible. I'm merely saying that for each individual of which has lots of experience in the gym, needs to be a sort of beacon of hope for those who are not in the gym yet. I think you need to be a beacon of, this is what's possible when you apply discipline and dedication to this art form, which movement is. Because I think the majority of those of whom have reached a particular peak along that cascading ridgeline of physical prowess knows of which, in my first point, of what it does for the mind. We know how beneficial it has helped us to stay focused, to not get bogged down by the absolute garbage that the mind can throw at us. Because we're not us and those who have how do I say that? Those who are in that position of having gone through that physical sort of disciplinary direction, we know, and we know of what garbage the mind can throw at us, because it's still throwing it. It's still trying to. We're not impenetrable. This is not a declaration of you reach a particular physical prowess and all of a sudden you are like you don't deal with mental problems or emotional problems or even spiritual problems or even physical problems. No, that's not the case at all. But it is an example that you have been able to get to a particular point in life of which you now are aware that that movement within the physical realm and the engagement of discipline is obviously not going to only be beneficial for you physically. It's going to be beneficial for you mentally and emotionally and spiritually too. And that is something for us within this realm, and I hope for more and more people to realize is that it's a responsibility of ours to make that representation and to promote that that mindset, but to promote that movement itself is and will be such a crucial concept, crucial realm of engagement for everyone to take. My family has quite a bit of, and even myself, I guess this is a little bit of exploration of the past, but I used to be very, very chunky. I was a very, very dense, freckled, with a lot more hair. Oh, I miss it. But I had a lot more hair, but I also had a lot more body weight. I did not have that much muscle, and I had quite a bit of fat. I was not in a good position. I was not, especially I participated in football, American football, for a few years, and I was certainly in pretty decent cardiovascular shape, but as soon as I was done with that, and until I started lifting with friends senior year of high school, there was before that, kind of during football, and then before I started lifting, and even after I started lifting, it was still like, yeah, sure, I was putting on some muscle, but I had no idea what discipline was, what dedication to lifting was, and what dedication to a better nutrition sort of pathway was. And so I've been in those positions of not being in a healthy spot physically at all, which led to a lot of mentality issues and emotional issues down, especially within the university realm, but also within my family. There has been plenty of examples of just being overweight and not being able to do things of which you would want to see them to get to do. And I obviously I'm not going to say any names or positions, but like everybody's family. I think the vast majority of families, especially in the United States, and I know the numbers, especially in the United States, you're probably going to have a family member or two, close relatives, that have experienced or are experiencing obesity, being overweight, and that's something that is fairly preventable. Again, I'm not a doctor, and I know that there are many of cases of which getting movement in is a very difficult, if not impossible, task. But I to a point, I refute that. I believe that some movement is better than none. If that means standing up out of a chair multiple times throughout the day and increasing that number over weeks and over months to then maybe sitting down, standing up, doing multiple reps within a set and creating multiple sets and doing it and then adding in some weights, like over time, I believe that some sort of movement will be beneficial if you are in a position of something being harmful. And I know that that's going to ruffle some feathers, but let the feathers be ruffled. I refute, to a degree, that no movement is what you have to deal with. So we have met too many people. How can I say that? We have met enough people on this path with impossible performance who are doing the impossible by being impossible, and from facing their impossible, embracing movement as a positive force to give them something to look after. I've seen too many examples And I know that that is something that can be difficult to hear for some people, but let it be difficult for you to hear. Because let me tell you, I will share with you something else that is very difficult to hear, that can be crushing, and that can be an absolutely huge blow. And it is a huge blow for some people that don't make it out of it, is that you have cancer. And we have no idea why you have it, but you have it. So let's go through months, if not years, of chemotherapy. And for a lot of people, we don't know if you're going to survive this. So I refute, to a degree, that no movement is what you have to deal with. So, for me, the art of movement itself, is something of which we all need to embrace in to a certain degree, and to do our best. To do our best not only to participate in and to move, but to help others in their pursuits of movement, of bettering their lives in some way, in some way, shape, or form. I believe that it is a responsibility for those who are to help those who could and who can and who should. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. I hope that you've been able to get something out of this. I know I haven't shared a whole lot of actionable items, but I certainly shared an opinion of mine, and that is I want you to be able to look at yourself, look to those who are around you, and make some positive change, and to not let malevolence disguised as reason to push you down into a sort of box of which can be taped up and then just shipped to whatever location of which it desires. I want you to be able to sail towards the port of which you have decided, and that will bring the most favorable of winds. And wins as well. So again, thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. And us here at Impossible Performance are striving to build a global culture of strength, fostering a spirit of growth, in constant pursuit of the impossible. Take care, and as always, be impossible.